So this is very strange because people are going to be like, why is she on this side of the chair? But that's because I'm taking over your podcast. How do you feel about that?
I don't know yet. A bit nervous, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
How does it feel being on the other side? Because you ask really hard questions. I watched like the first few episodes and you are asking your guests fire questions.
It's not necessarily fire questions,
Yeah.
but for me, it's the audience that we're trying to target, right? I want a person to watch this and actually get that hope that life is doable post whatever situation or circumstance that they're facing. So yes, it's weird being on this side, but hopefully my story gets to inspire someone as well. So
Before we get
I'm
into your
good.
story, let's talk about this podcast. Why this podcast?
Two reasons. First one, it's timing. I've always wanted to go into podcasting for a long time, but then I was rebuked because of the life I was living and the things that I was on. I wasn't on drugs or anything like that, but
Disclaimer.
yes, but every weekend I'd be in a different country. So I wouldn't have time, and I wouldn't have time to sit and be still and listen to the message that the person who's leading me is trying to communicate, number one. Number two, the environment I was in, I needed to learn for a season so that I can move on and be able to be still and do this.
Sure.
So
You went in deep already, like, Khosi, like, relax. I know you're in the hot seat, but the death needs to stop. Let's do icebreakers because, like, I feel like since I'm in the driver's chair, I need to do things a little bit unconventional.
Sure.
Red or black?
Black,
Sunny or rainy?
rainy,
Beach or mountain?
mountain,
Plane or driving?
driving,
Sea or flying?
sea.
Why?
Because flying, I feel as though as much as you're above there, you can't see anything from the bottom. But then when you're in the sea, the water, there's a wave, there's changes that are happening around you.
Yeah.
And you can always wonder, oh, what if this, what if that? Flight is literally just a seat at a certain altitude. And you're just seated, and the only thing that you see is this box, which is your window, and that's
Sure.
it. So I love to see beyond what is here. Yeah.
I love that. You are like deep without even trying to be all the time.
I'm sorry.
But wait, we need to unpack because we
Yeah.
need to go back. I want to think that you were not always this deep. And maybe there were certain like life instances that made you this type of person or even have to express yourself the way you do. So let's maybe take a step back to Khosi the child. Khosi, before he had language to say, I want to see beyond the vision.
Yeah.
So who was Khosi between, earliest memories people will say is between 6, maybe 5 if you're lucky. But what was some of your childhood like? Let's get to know the Khosi without the depth.
And I think 6 is a perfect age, right? So that's where I'll start because before that, I don't remember anything. But 6, I was in Soweto with my grandmother. I grew up in Piri, Soweto. And life was good. I had a grandmother who was loving. I wasn't conscious enough to say there's something called a mother and a father. So for me, it was me and my grandmother, and that's it. Other grandkids were there, my sisters, sometimes apparently they would come, I don't remember that, but it was just me and my grandmother. Growing up in Soweto and being content, having anything and everything that you want. You want food, there's pop and spinach. Saturday you want ice, you get 20 cents, you go buy ice. You're happy. And then when I was 7, I needed to start grade 1, but because I was born after June, apparently I'm still a bit too young. So they still consider you like you're 6 and whatnot. So I started schooling very late when I was 8. I went to do my grade 1, moved to Katlehong to stay with my mom, which also didn't last very long, right? I think I stayed with my mom for like 3 or 4 years before I ventured on my own, if I may say. But yeah, grade 1 to grade 12, I was kind of what the world would call a smart student. Always number one in school, grade 1 to grade 7. I took all the tax learners. So a tax learner is like literally number one, right? Grade 7, competed a bit in maths Olympiads and whatnot, and I was coined number 3 smartest maths geek in South Africa. Then I went to high school. It was just the same, right? But underneath all of that, there was a boy who was alone, even though I was with my mom for that period of time. But I always felt alone because she's not playing an active role into my life. She is a bit distant. She's not home, so you always have to figure things out by yourself. And I never really knew how to figure things out. Therefore, I'd just be alone in the room, just dreaming. And that's pretty much it. So I don't really have a childhood memory where I can say, oh, I was this happy. Just after my grandmother passed when I was in grade 3, my life went into this dark mode where it's just dark, suicidal thoughts. You're exposed to gangsters. You're trying to survive. You're trying to figure out life. And fortunately enough, when I was in grade 10, a psychologist by the name of Tabile Kozwayo then found me, and she introduced me into therapy and whatnot. And then I kind of worked on myself through that. And then, the rest is history.
You literally covered many phases, skipped spaces. So I'm going to take it back a little bit. You said this line, you ventured out on your own. What does that mean?
That simply means that, without going into too much detail, there's an article online. Some people misquoted it and whatnot, but it talks about me staying by myself, right? There was a point in my life where my stepfather and my mom decided, you know what, we don't want this one here. And then I had to pretty much go be a mother and father.
How old were you?
I think 13.
Sure.
And then I started staying by myself. 28 now, still love staying by myself. So that's pretty much it. So it's not like, oh, cool, I had this great idea, I was Elon Musk and then I have money, I venturing by myself. No, it was circumstantial to say there isn't a place for you where you call home, therefore you need to venture. So I went back to what my mom owned as a shack back then. Now it's an RDP house, so I went and stayed there.
So what is a 13-year-old Khosi living on his own, having no mother figure, father figure, doing, thinking, dreaming about?
I grew up in Katlehong, surrounded by gangsters, surrounded by people who rape people for a living, people who just do weird things. So you also get introduced to that. A kingpin sees you, you're alone, studied you, like, hey, dude, I can give you 20 rands every day or every week for you to get into people's houses. So I remember my first gun, I think I was 14 years old. It was an illegal gun, right? Never used it. I was fortunate enough to have the brains to be able to see that I'm not going to pull the trigger on anyone. But those are some of the things that you're exposed to. My shack, we didn't really have what people today would call a stop nonsense, or rather fencing, right? So anyone and everyone can just walk by. I remember this one time I woke up and I found someone's head by my doorstep, right? So you kind of grow up in that trauma. You see a person get shot or killed, stabbed to death. And those are normal. It's things that you live with. So I thought life was literally just that. So life was just dark. So I can't even say I sat and thought about 1, 2, 3, no. But by the mercy of God, if that may be true, then I had the brains to see beyond, again, the situation in front of me. And then I chose against it.
Yeah. I think in hindsight, we can say it's the mercy of God, but for you in that moment, why weren't you tempted by that life? Because I think what people don't realize is that insight that you have is also a certain level of revelation, if I could put it like that, right? Because somebody right now can come from a similar background. They can be exposed to being by themselves, seeing the guns, the lifestyle. They're 13, they're 14. They think this is life. They think this is their way into living. What do you think your resistance or hesitance to not want to engage in it at that point in time was?
So this was before I was adopted. So I think I didn't love seeing people hurt, right? Even though I was hurting, I think there was a certain level of, this is wrong. You can't take from a person. A person works for a certain thing, right? For me, it would hurt because I think I had 3 or 4 T-shirts, which I carried to UCT. When I got to UCT, I only had a school bag, but we'll get to that. Literally having nothing. And then now someone gives you an opportunity to go steal just so you can have something. I've seen mob justice, so I think, again, that helped me kind of be grounded. Be like, imagine they catch me into someone's house and then I get beaten up to death. That wouldn't be fun, number one. Number two, that sense of, it's not yours, therefore you can't take it forcefully. Either you ask for it, because I asked in the neighborhood for food and people would invite me for dinner, right? My best friend, Bontle, used to eat at his house almost every third or fourth day, right? My other best friend, Luyolo, they used to cook and I would go there and we eat dinner. So for me, it didn't make sense then to go into the same houses because it's just women that trust me and then steal from them. So yeah, it didn't make sense.
I think it's interesting because that dynamic of you knowing that I can't take from these people that are generously giving to me, and then having all this pain and trauma, and then excelling at school. Do you think you being academically strong was a response to the trauma, or was academics like something that you really just found comfort in, or something that you enjoyed?
No, I think I found comfort in music. I think I was introduced to music when I was in grade 2, right? Academics, again, I would say it's God. So I wouldn't say, oh, I had to study 100 hours just so I can be smart or anything. That came naturally.
Sure.
And I think if I look again in hindsight, I was introduced to this notion of dreaming and doing the things that I'm doing now. When I was around grade 1, grade 2, when I started my music journey, I also had a vision that I wrote down, which today I'm living it, which is crazy, right? But my escape was always music. When I was in high school, I saw how people made money through snooker pool, right? And I started competing professionally, right? And I made quite a lot of money. And for me, then that gave me comfort to be like, oh, I actually don't need to steal from people, right? And yeah, that's how I escaped everything. So my pool, my music, and notebooks.
Who introduced you to music, and what was music doing for you at that time?
Miss Situ, my grade 2 teacher, she came in class one day. I think she was singing bum 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 ayya bum 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 ayya, friends we are, friends we are, and then I just caught up with that, right? And I have this soft voice, and then she's like, you could actually sing tenor. I'm like, what is tenor? And then she started introducing me to a singing coach, right? They taught me piano, they taught me how to sing properly, how to read and interpret notes, and then I just fell in love with it. From there, yeah, it just became a thing. Oh, there's a school competition, Tsietsi, you're singing maybe tenor solo, or you're singing in the trio, and then carried through even high school, right? Some people saw me go imizwilili, competing professionally, so where to gospel choir. Yes, I sang quite a lot in my life.
I'm in the presence.
Right? So, yeah, I think music did something where it was fun, but it was also comforting. And I didn't understand the comfort until I was young, right? To say, right now I tell poetry or stories with my music. I remember during COVID, I released a mix, right, as a DJ, where it was Afro house, but also I took samples of deep R&B songs and I put them there for girls to sing along. And then someone commented like, dude, what you did here really spoke. It hit hard. Yes, I'm groovy, I'm dancing, but the thing that you're doing, that's crazy. So for me, it's always about telling stories, which I love doing in pen and paper, but again, musically, I express myself. Yeah.
Let's talk about you being a DJ, because I think that was so fascinating. You this academically strong person without trying to be. But then there's this natural talent of music that you can also tap into. And I think some people can be extremely analytical, and then some people can be creative, and then you just happen to be both. And then you decided to become a DJ. I mean, you playing piano, you also sing in Turner, Soweto Gospel Choir. Like, you could do a lot. What about DJ? Did you think this is a good idea?
So the first time I played, I think I was in grade 11, grade 12. And everyone loved it. Because I grew up as a loner, I always wanted a sense of belonging. Even though I was adopted when I was in grade 9, the family gave me everything that I wanted, right? Till today, they still support me. We still like proper. But again, sometimes in the family, when, let's say, extended family visit, you can feel a bit alone because they'll be talking about childhood memories that you don't have, right? So I think being a DJ helped me connect with people without necessarily engaging through words and voice and whatnot. So I would stand here, I would play, and by how you dance, how you respond to what I'm doing, then we connect, right? And I just loved this attention I got from people. Oh, you get to the airport, oh, that it hears this and that it hears that. You go to the township, everyone is just happy. I remember when I went back to Katlehong, I think I was around my second year of varsity, everyone just went crazy because I was on radio. I was a radio DJ. I was doing gigs. They saw me in Durban. They saw me Namibia, traveling Africa, just through music. And people are just fascinated to say, we see all of these big people, but we've got one of our own. My boys literally just went crazy, right? And for me, I was like, if I can get that, being an introvert, then I'm straight. So falling in love with DJing and crafting it and trying to be good at it was just so I can connect with people without using words. Because even now I'm very selective of the people that I bring into my space and people I converse with. But if you knew that, he's a DJ, then proper. I think the most I speak, it's going to be through this podcast with people and go deep. But I just give people whatever it is that they want at that time. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that you managed to achieve success in your standard because you got the belonging, you also got the connection without being too close. You were at the pinnacle. Why are you not a DJ? Why did you leave DJ?
I wouldn't say I'm not, but again, I said I wanted to start this podcast 2 years ago. 4 years ago, I think just during COVID or before COVID, I was planning on hosting this big event called the Grad Party. Everyone else is celebrated. Again, me being a loner, me having graduated from UCT, and the only person or the only two people that were going to show up was my sister and brother. Everyone else said no. I'm like, what if there's another Tsietsi like that? Why can't we celebrate them? What if there's a person literally at UCT who's just going to be there and graduate and they're alone? It's not going to even have a suit because I didn't even want to buy a suit because it's not me, right? I'm like, let's have something for that group of people to kind of celebrate them. And in a way, COVID came and I had to sit back and be like, oh, why? Why now? Why when I wanted to do this? Because I already spoken to AKA agreed to line up, to headline the event. So it was proper because I was connected already, right? And then COVID happened. And then after COVID, or rather just before COVID started, because I was still actively traveling. Even during COVID, I was fortunate enough to be allowed to travel to certain countries and whatnot. So I was still traveling. But again, there was this sense of normalcy that I was missing, right? As much as I'm human, but I'm treated differently because of a certain standard that people put me on. So for me, I was like, it's good, but there's someone who's stuck somewhere, and that doesn't make sense. And then I went into prayer, and I realized that, yes, I've got a public platform, but the way that I'm using it, at what expense? You can travel, you can do 1, 2, 3, you can be anywhere you want. But there's people that can't do that, right? You get to the airport, 100 people are standing in the queue. You get first preference, you just pass by like it's nothing. people can miss their flights while you're doing that just because you're a celebrity. And then somehow in my prayer, I realized that yes, the calling is there, and the calling will be blessed because it's something that I love, something that I believe in, something that I'm good at. But I needed to shift because of the certain things now that I'm doing. Like I said, I'm living in my purpose, right? And that DJ, traveling every weekend, Thursday to Sunday, different countries and whatnot, wasn't going to permit me to be able to do what I'm called for. So kind of God was like, okay, cool, let's come back a bit. This is where I want you to be. I'm like, but I have a public platform. Like, okay, cool. That public platform, that love to teach, that love to share, we'll still use it, but in a different manner. So the podcast, the vision, I saw it 2 years ago. And I was ready to start it. They were like, no, you still need to go through a pruning season. You need to mature. You still need people to teach you. And funny enough, that's how I stumbled across the Diary of a CEO, where then I sat, consumed episode after episode, and I understood the smallest things, the detail and whatnot. We're not there yet, but we'll get there, right? But for me, it was more of the message you're trying to put across as different. Even now, when I speak about the Bible or my belief system, people were like, aren't you a DJ? Because also there's a certain stigma that's associated with DJs. People were shocked that you're a DJ but you don't drink, right? You're a DJ but you go home alone. Why don't you pick up 2 or 3 girls? That's what you guys do, right? Remember when I got to Durban, literally it was a thing to say, okay, cool, you get there, you DJ, and then a girl was like, hey, can I go with you? Like, no, that's not happening. I'm going with my crew. Like, no, don't worry about your crew, just entertainment for the night. I'm like, no, I'm good. Again, if I continued, I think it wouldn't be beneficial for Ulwazi, because then the parents would know he's a DJ, he goes around with different women, this and this and that. And for what I'm called to do, the DJ status couldn't really necessarily match. Now, the events that I DJ at are events that I choose. It's like being in a movie and you play the rapist or whatever. But if God calls you to send a certain message, He'll take you out of that and put you in certain movies that you belong to. So, yeah.
I'm hearing a lot, and I think my mind is just triggered. And the reason is somebody hearing you now will say, yeah, you sound amazing. That sounds like it's good and everything, right? I feel like another person would say, yes, I hear you. You don't want to get first preference into a flight and you don't want to make people feel less than and whatnot. But to them, that's worldly success. But what I hear you saying is that you gave that up for God and for your calling and for purpose. So let's talk about your relationship with God and the inception thereof, because for you to be that decisive and not necessarily leave it, but understand that if it's for me, it will locate me at the right time. But my reason for not pursuing it like this is because I know what God has called me for. So let's talk about this relationship with God and your prayer time. What led you to even getting into that prayer time and your relationship with God in that traumatic past of being adopted, then also living by yourself, and then not having the memories of your adoptive family and when they're having all those moments? Where is God? When did God enter the chat? And when did you decide to take Him that seriously that even when you are facing worldly challenges, it's easier for you to say, I'm taking the God side?
That's a very interesting question, right? I think the first encounter was, I was just around grade 9, grade 10, and I tried to take my life several times, right? And I couldn't succeed. But then, because I'm a mathematician, I calculated everything. I'm like, okay, cool. There's a train without fail that passes a certain station at 9 p.m. Studied it for like 2-3 months. Without fail, 9 p.m. I'm like, okay, cool. There's going to be a train involved, there's going to be a gun involved, and there's going to be pills or acid, whatever I can find. So you're going to drink that, shoot yourself, and at 9 you fall. So I calculated the velocity as well from the station all the way down to be like, okay, this is it. And then I see the train come, and I'm like, okay, cool, time to execute. And then I get a call, 2 minutes to 9, and that call distracted me. Like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. What's up? This person's like, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I love you. And I think that was my first time hearing someone tell me they love me, and it's someone that I met just randomly. And it was Aus Ivy. And she then becomes the person who gets me into Tutuka Pasri for my first year of varsity, which I then dropped, and we'll get into that how. But her telling me that. And what was crazy was the following day in the morning, my best friend, my sister, also calls me. Like, hey, dude, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, what's up? She's like, no, I was just thinking about you. But that call from Ivy that disturbed me, that wasn't just coincidental, right? Obviously, I'm in emotions, I can think through it and whatnot. And then, cool, my sister, we meet December, the adoption side, and we're just having fun. And the head of the house, my grandfather, he's a pastor, he was a reverend, right? He retired now. Studying him, looking at how he lives his life, looking at how he just engages with God, his prayer, preparing for a sermon, he can sit 3-4 hours in a room. I'm like, why? What is it about this thing that you're not seeing, that you keep praying and whatnot? But also I just loved the peace and comfort that he was in. Whether he didn't have food, I don't know, and whatnot, but he was always at peace. And I wanted that because I was troubled. I had anger issues. I would beat up a person to death because that's how I grew up. We saw people being beaten up. We saw people being killed, and it was normal, right? Then I go to UCT. UCT, first day, I sign into res, and I'm sitting there. For the first time ever, I've got a single bed, but the single bed is not covered, right? Because I don't have sheet, I don't have anything of that. And I'm just reading the Bible. And it's funny enough, it's a Bible that I got from a school excursion where people came, Christians, and they dished out those blue Bibles, the New Testament Bibles. And I'm reading that, reading. And then my roommate comes in, 4 suitcases. I'm like, what's going on here? All the bedding that he wants, everything. And it just looks normal. And for me, it's like, this is not normal, right? And then in that moment, I can't even remember the exact verse, but it was along the lines of, God is always with you. God is watching you. And then I just wanted to know, God, okay, cool. If you're always watching, if you're always with me, why don't I have a normal family? Sure. Why doesn't my mother want me? Why doesn't my father want me? And then, in a way, I got introduced to therapy. Because I wanted love, then God showed me compassion, showed me how to be gentle, take away the anger issues and everything, just so I can become the person that is worthy of being loved and the person that can love. And then that's how the relationship kind of started. And I just fell in love from there, slowly.
Sure. That was heavy. That was very heavy. I admire that quite a lot because sometimes people are waiting for the perfect moment, you know, to know that you had calculated in your rationale how to take yourself out and how you put things into play, but divine intervention. And divine intervention can never be explained fully, you know, and for you to recognize that's also God in your life is very important, because I think some people think things are random or they think it's by chance. Had you not even gotten that call 2 minutes later, we wouldn't be having this podcast, right? And again, it brings back that sense of reverence that it doesn't matter how far off you are, God can still locate you wherever it is that you find yourself. And even when you got to UCT, because that was very interesting, your roommate comes in, has all these things, and to you, what are you thinking in that moment about your journey in UCT? Because I don't have half the story that you have, but people that go to UCT are privileged. People that go to UCT are the ones that I don't know, I call them the special children, the special people. UCT still has an ambience about it. And then you come from severe humble beginnings and then go to privilege at the heightened level. Your first introduction to the year is this roommate that has everything. How do you navigate to UCT?
Three things, right? Seeing someone have everything that I wish that I had, I told myself I'm not leaving Cape Town until I have that.
Sure.
So that was the first thing, right? Secondly was I came to UCT as an escape, not because I needed an education, right? If maybe I was in America, I would be one of the guys who dropped out and pursued certain dreams. But because I'm in South Africa and in SA, a degree speaks volume, right? So I thought I needed to study and showcase that I'm worth it. But equally, UCT challenged I'm just smart, I'm not going to study. There's certain subjects like your accounting that I didn't need to study that came naturally. But then the math was different, right? People who did AP maths understand calculus a bit better. I needed to put in some work. So now I'm challenged to be like, I need to learn how to study. I need to do all of these things. So that's the second piece. So the first piece is I'm not leaving Cape Town until I am that roommate. So he was my benchmark. I wanted to leave Cape Town, have 4 suitcases full of clothes, which I did finally when I did.
Came out with a lot.
Yeah. Number 2, being challenged to say you are not as smart, because everyone at UCT is smart. You'll be humbled, right? I went to UCT. I remember that year. I think I was around top 50 in Gauteng, part of the GCRA program where they give bursaries to 100 students, to top 100 students in Gauteng. So I was somebody. But then you get into class, you meet people that you met at the national and provincial awards, people who are number 1 in the country, people who are number 1 in Eastern Cape, and then you just stay in the same class. Now it's like, okay, cool. The playing field is leveled. Mm-hmm. But also I have this thing in me to be like, you know what? I'm not going to let anyone outwork me. Therefore, I need to beast mode, beef up. Kind of beef up and show that I belong. But again, to your point, people are privileged there. I went there, I had nothing. And also, that's when I needed my mom and my dad again. That's when the suicidal thoughts came back.
Sure.
And then I asked God, but Chief, why? Why me, right? And then I think in that moment, I realized that actually there is a certain purpose. There is a certain story that God wants to tell with my life. In Katlehong, there weren't a lot of people that went into UCT. But since 2014, I take 1 or 2 people to UCT now. So again, in Katlehong, going to UCT, it's becoming a fashion, it's becoming a thing. So I think that's what God wanted to tell. They needed to see someone go there so that they can believe that it's possible. Yeah.
I think I have to pause every time because there's so much that you're saying, and the lessons in there is, for me, what I'm hearing is certain things trigger the suicidal thoughts. And I know for somebody hearing this, their story they might find something that they relate in your story. The feelings of isolation, the feelings of not being wanted, not belonging, and there's certain triggers. Do you think the therapy added to helping you not having those suicidal thoughts, or can you get rid of them?
I don't know if you can completely get rid of them. I'll share a bit also about my story. Even this year, at the beginning of the year, I had promised to marry someone. Our lives were good and everything was happening perfectly. And when she left, I felt purposeless. For 4 months, I didn't know what was what. Literally, people who know me close saw a ghost in those 4 months. And again, I'm like, why am I here, right? But it's how you manage the thoughts, right? Seeing the bigger picture that your life or your life story doesn't end with you. Therefore, you shouldn't be too selfish to take a learning opportunity for someone, right? And I remember when I was in grade 12, there was this lady. I didn't know she was going through the most, but she said she came to school just to see me smile because I don't smile a lot.
Sure.
I'm like, why? She's like, seeing you smile gives me life. You are the head boy of the school. You are the smartest boy in the school. I'm trying to be, I'm on your level 5, 60s, 70s. But just seeing you smile and speak life to us, it's all that I come to school for. Then in that moment at UCT as well, and I have that, I'm like, what if there's a Tsietsi in Katlehong, Tsietsi, where it's dangerous, where someone can get shot in front of your eyes and you have to continue going to school? Needs that. What if there's someone in KZN who needs that? What if there's someone in Khayelitsha and Cape Town as well, where people just kill each other like it's normal, like it's Christmas? Who needs to hear that story? So for me, I had to hold on to what was a hope, to say, I hope my story can inspire someone. I have faith that my life isn't by chance. The way everything happens is for a bigger purpose. So yeah.
That word keeps coming up quite a lot, purpose. And it feels like every time you have a saving grace or like something that saves you is realigning purpose. And I think like certain things shake us out of purpose. If it's not you not feeling like you belong in your family, or you're going through what you thought would be an amazing marriage, but then it comes to an end, you tie everything back to purpose. So define to me purpose.
You? Purpose for me would be living in what God called you to do, number one. Living in what makes you happy without having to explain why you're happy. And at the end of the night, when you go to bed, if you were to sit and think, what if I were to take my last breath? Would I be happy with everything that I did today? Because yesterday's stuff is forgotten. You need to let it go. If I can tick those 3 boxes, then I think I'm still within my purpose. Right? At church this year, we're talking about one word that we can use to define our year. And for me, Jan to April, I was miserable because what I hoped to be a wife had left. But equally, after that, when I kind of got in the revelations of why she left, how it happened, this, and the lessons that I was supposed to take from that, I became at peace. I loved myself even more. I did everything that I wanted to do with her by myself, traveled the world even more, right? But I was at peace. And then people asked me to define what is that. And it was just this state where nothing else matters except for this moment. And that peace, what I guess would be, how I defined that peace was, what is it for? Why am I at peace? I'm at peace because there's certain people that I need to be teaching. There's certain people that are looking up to me, right? My nephews, my nieces, my family. Because when I was growing up, it was so disorientated. Now, because I'm a bit more matured and then I can teach people, even my family, I think as I was speaking to God not so long ago, He told me that I'm going to need to bring the family together. I'm going to have to be the peace because I'm the only one who's different in my family, right? From my mother's side, I'm the only son. Already I'm different from my 5 sisters, right? I'm the only one who went to varsity. Again, I'm different from these people. But rather than coming back with this boastful thing to be like, oh, went to UCT, studied the hardest degree, this and this and that. For me, it's like, okay, cool. How do I humble myself and be at their standard and try and bring and glue the family together? You can't do that unless you're at peace. You can't do that unless you know yourself. Therefore, God was preparing me to self-knowledge, being aware of who Tshediso is, my stupidity. I mock people a lot. All of those things, I'm aware of them and that I do them. But more than anything, seeing someone be at peace, then that's how I got my peace. because now I can actually draw reference and examples to what it is, what I call peace. And when I say relax, be at peace, you're going to get 1, 2, 3. What was funny was God, almost every time in the Bible, when he sends someone away, he says, go in peace, right? And now I actually understand that a bit more because I am at peace. If someone was to steal my car or all my houses was to burn down, I know how to rebuild all of them. I'm at peace, I'm okay. Take all my cars, I'll still be at peace because I know how to get there, right? Yeah.
I need practical steps because now that you understand purpose, people now you've defined it for them. It's weighty, right? It needs you to be connected to self. So I'm sensing there's a realignment of purpose that needs to continuously happen. You spoke about you travel a lot, you pray a lot. What are like practical steps that people can take to realign purpose? Like for me, for example, something like traveling seems like a privilege, you know? Some people don't have the financial backing to do it, or they might not have capacity to do it. But the idea is I need to realign purpose. So if you could just like maybe shed light on how would somebody go about realigning purpose? How would Tshediso, maybe the 14-year-old that didn't have the financial backing, the other things, as compared to this Tshediso now today, that concept of realigning purpose, give it to Tshediso 14-year-old and Tshediso who's established and is at peace with losing cars and houses? Yeah.
That's a good question, right? And I want to go back a step, right? I'm privileged now. Back when I was 14, I had nothing except for my family providing for me, my adopted family, right? So I wouldn't be speaking about traveling. But there's this saying that people need to be aware of what's around them. Even the woman in the Bible who said, I had nothing to the prophet except for oil. And the prophet said, stop clowning, go borrow vessels, start pouring that oil, right? So understanding what's within you, because I think we look outside a lot to kind of find out what it is that we need, right? Right now it's December. A lot of people will be taking their lives because, I don't have this car, I'm not dating the right person, this and this and that. For me, it's taking a step back. And not to be too biblical, but 1 Kings
Go
19,
deeper, men of God.
right? 1 Kings 19, Elijah goes into the wilderness, right? And he tells God that he wants to take, or rather God, take my life because I've had enough. And then he sits quietly and he lays down. So he's in a position where he can rest. And then as he's laying down, he falls into sleep. And then angel of the Lord comes and say, Elijah, wake up and eat. Right? Those 4 things. Laying down, meaning positioning yourself for rest. I would say if someone wants peace, if someone wants to align their purpose, switch off everything around you. Just sit and know yourself. Knowing yourself is hard when you're hungry. Right? And there's this joke that Apostle Joshua Selman makes, like, dude, you're already hungry anyway, so why don't you just go into fasting? Fast, because there's nothing else you're going to eat anyway.
Bazalani, are you listening?
Right? So sitting down and kind of writing things down and be like, who am I? What do I want out of life? And then you switch off, you sleep, right? And then in that sleep, if you believe, I didn't used to dream. I started dreaming this year. And because I prayed for my dreams, so that I can remember them instead of relying on people like, hey, Jose, I dreamt about you, this and this and that. So switching off, positioning yourself to think, how do I position myself? I took a 4-year break from social media. And what was crazy was a friend of mine posted on her WhatsApp status to be like, hey, dude, what is the one thing, or rather, yes, what is the one thing that you did for 3 months consistently and it changed your life? And I commented that, like, I took a break from social media and I made 10 million rands in that 4 years. Why? Because now I had a clear mind. nothing from the outside was influencing me. Right now, when I wake up in the morning, even now, I have WhatsApp, but I don't have WhatsApp. My WhatsApp probably was online 2 months ago because I went there, someone said, hey, I sent you a message on WhatsApp. And I went and checked that message. The other 15 people that texted me, that means they don't know me, because everyone who knows me knows. SMS or call this person, right? So I switch off like that so that I can spend more time with myself and then understanding myself. So a 14-year-old boy is look for mentors, right? I personally want to be a mentor. I want to be the light for those people. And that's the purpose of this podcast, is to teach those people. Therefore, I sat and thought, okay, cool. Back when I was 14, I didn't have anyone to look up to. Either it's taxi drivers, that CA from Kasi that sleeps with every woman or all our sisters because he has money, or just gangsterism. Therefore, those are the people that you kind of look up to, or a spicer shop or whatnot owner, right? So for me, it's like, okay, cool. A 14-year-old you, how do you switch off the content that you consume? Everyone has a smartphone, everyone has TikTok, everyone has Facebook. I'm not saying Facebook is wrong, but how you use it is wrong, right? Look at now people in grade 9. Our schooling system went from teaching puberty and the reproduction cycle from grade 9 to a grade 6 learning natural sciences. To me, it's like, what are you doing? You can see how the devil is working to pollute the minds of, like, a grade 6 doesn't need to know about sex. A grade 6 doesn't need to know about pregnancy and reproduction. But because the people that are leading us in higher positions don't have a certain level of revelation to say, you're just destroying the economy, therefore I just want to be that. So a 14-year-old, look for people that have a certain lifestyle that you want, that you can follow. Hebrews 12 verse 1 says, we are running a race every day, and in order for us to run the race properly, we need to look unto Jesus, because he's the author and the finisher. So he ran the race. Again, I'm not saying look to Jesus. I'm saying the people that are on earth. If you want to be like Tshediso, look at what Tsietsi is doing and try it. It's hard to stay off social media for 4 years. Best believe not for a 14-year-old. You wake up every day, you're clueless. But if you have that thing of, I want to make it out of my township, I want to be like him, I want to do some of the things that he does, then just find those people and look up to them. I look up to Oprah now for some selfish reasons, but main one is I want to build my own schools as well. Right? Therefore, I'm trying to do some of the things that he does. Denzel Washington, my mentor, my superstar, he doesn't even have WhatsApp, doesn't even have Instagram. I do, because I need to promote my podcast. But other than that, I don't use it for much. I hope that answers you.
Sure.
But yeah.
Thanks, Steve. No, you answered me quite well, because I think we resist the truth of switching off and realigning. And we know it to be true that we need to realign, and we know certain things that we need to do, but I think it's fear of not being with the world. And again, I think we convince ourselves that we're going to be isolated if we are not connected all the time, or if we spend a lot of time away, because in all honesty, we might not know who we are outside the context of people, outside the context of what we do and distraction. And I think for you, you aimed it correctly to a younger audience, because even with the school, Ulwazi, for example, you spoke about mentorship. And I want us to talk more about Ulwazi in our second part, but I think that's because I want to go into the business aspect of it. But for now, your love for helping younger people, the younger audience, when you alluded to the fact that a grade 9 learner syllabus went to a grade 6 learner syllabus where we're teaching about the reproductive system and whatnot, and you speak about it so passionately that it's not correct to do that. Where does this love for helping young people and educating people come from?
It's a funny question that you ask. When I was in grade 2, I remember I buried a paper. And in that paper, I came back from school, and one of the teachers, I think I had the teacher swear, right? And I'm like, that's harsh to say to a grade 2 learner. I didn't understand the context or the depth of it, but I knew it wasn't the right thing to do. So I got home, I drew a school. And in that school, I drew myself in a box. I'm like, this is me every time in class. When people are going to have lunch because I don't have food, I sit in class, right? But after that, people are being picked up by their parents, cars, whatnot, and I'm just alone. So I wanted to build a school where everyone is going to be the same.
Sure.
No one is going to have to, if I drive a supercar, that supercar, most of the kids won't see, because where you drop off your kid and how the kids dress up, they'll dress formally, all of them, right? There's not going to be this thing, oh, grade 12s, you need to wear white jerseys. What if you can't afford that jersey? Then the school will have to provide. But there's going to be a standard of a certain way of dressing. I love black. If it's just black and black jeans, black t-shirts, then so be it. Because a school, it's something that needs to educate. It's something that people need to go to acquire a certain level of knowledge, but also to switch off from their traumas at home. Similar to work, right? You go to work, yes, for money and whatnot, but your colleagues and everyone you connect with, I feel as though they need to be people that you can see and love and connect with at a deeper sense than just let's make money. So that's the first one. The second was when I was in grade 12, an LO teacher looked at me and be like, dude, you're not making it to UCT. I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me. You're an LO teacher, you're supposed to speak life into people. But because I'm smart a certain way that doesn't tickle your fences, you're telling me that you're going to make sure that I'm not making it to UCT. And then she fails me on LO, knowing full well that UCT wants 80% for actuarial sciences. She gives me a 76. And then UCT says, you can't study actuarial sciences. And for me, that broke me. And again, I'm like, this is why I want to build a school. People like this, people who are given power in our society, and they use that power for selfish benefits of themselves. Because she had no reason to fail me, but for her, it's like, you're too cocky because you do everything in the school, you think you're smart at this and that. I'm like, for me, it's not my fault that I'm given a certain level of brain. In the school, I teach math, science, and accounting for free anyway. But because I'm not using my gift in a manner that fits your standard or in a manner that you want me to use it, then you treat me this way. Right? So my passion and purpose for building a school was more for reversing those weird things that people do with power. But also I think God kind of knew that actually, because the world is going to go into where it's going now, where people are being taught weird things at grade 6, then I need someone to kind of speak sense into it. And that's why my life was the way it was, so that when I do the things that I do, it makes sense because I can resonate with them, rather than doing it for money or doing it just because someone told me to do it.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. The power of words. That's what I'm hearing every time. The power of words. Define the power of words. Because I think it's very interesting. And I get this question quite a lot, because even with activity on social media, people will draw inspiration from how I edify them or how I say something, and now they feel like they can try again. And whereas for you, your LO teacher just spoke death into your life, and as a result, I feel like the fruit was death to your dream, to your confidence, to whatever. So what is the power of words?
I'm going to use examples because I don't have a certain definition for it, right? But even the Bible says your words can either build or kill a nation, right? So it's important to watch how you speak to people. There's a quote that says, in every person there's a God in them, right? And when you engage with them, you're engaging with that God, but just make sure that they see it in you first. What is God? God is love, God is peace, God is life, right? So you need to speak life into people and all that. But then the power of words, how I look at it is, that LO teacher told me, you will never make it. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. then I went the opposite direction, right? How you raise your kids, the things that you say to them, they stick for the longest of times. Therefore, you need to make sure that you're always speaking life into them, right? So, guarding your word, and I think one of my mentors said, Tsietsi, as you get into leadership, here's how I want you to speak to people. Imagine your wife and your kids standing just behind you and listening to the things that you say.
Sure.
And if you want them to know and remember you by the last thing you said to someone else,
Sure.
and that's the definition they have of you, then you better say it. And that's how, when I engage with everyone, I keep quiet. I think there's certain people that annoy me and I'll respond like this. But even when I respond like this, it's still respectful. I still recognize the position that you're in and all that. But you'll see Hore, he's getting angry or irritated rather than angry, because it takes a long time to get me angry, right? But the power of words is literally just that. Every time I speak to a person, I'm thinking, my wife is here, my kids are here. This is the last moment. The last thing that they hear is what they'll remember me for the rest of my life. Is it good? Is it building? Is it edifying to someone's life? And if it's not, I'm not saying it.
I think that's so powerful, because words are so powerful. And I never want to take it lightly. And even with this podcast, right, we are sending waves, planting seeds in people. And they might not necessarily see value in it, but you do find people come back later and they say, oh my gosh, what he said, it helped me respond differently. And I want us in part 2 to go into how you've used all these lessons into the business aspect, the business side, ulwazi, all these other things that you do on the side, because you are quite prominent. You don't like speaking about your accolades quite a lot, but I think it's important that even with somebody living in a Katlehong, for example, or in my hood, Kanana, they need to know that people like us, even in spaces like a corporate setting or an entrepreneurial space, that we still have value to add, that even in our lived experiences, no matter how small or how insignificant at that time, we still draw strength from that. So, thank you.
You're welcome.